Ho 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 ho! Tonight, we're discussing a subject that doesn't exactly make me look good, but the story must be told. So strap on in, because you're in for a surprising and informative ride. What's going on? It's Dapper Don, and I'm excited to welcome you all back. I've been gone for a while once again, and I think it's time I tell the truth about where I've been. You see, my mental health has been in the crapper for a while. To sum it all up, my depression has been increasing in severity for a long time, and I've been feeling more and more lonely, like there isn't anyone who genuinely cares about me beyond the things that I do and the expectations that they have. It certainly didn't help that everyone I reached out to was busy and unavailable, and I had to literally beg people to spend time with me. This, combined with the heavy amount of masking I'd undertaken and the avoidance of my own emotions, took a heavy toll on me. And not being able to deal with it by myself anymore, I cracked and went to one of those drug and mental health rehab places. My experience at those places is another video for another time. Anywho, first time I went to Kentucky for treatment, and the second time I went to Ohio. So no, I was not on a grand vacation. I was in the crazy house. Eventually, though, I got on some medication that worked, restabilized, and now I'm back. And with what I've learned, I want to take this show in a new, more impactful direction. I want to be more open and honest. I want to discuss things that have an actual effect on people in addition to whatever interests me. And I want to tell my full story, warts and all. After all, these things are what make a good podcast. That's why tonight I'm going to be talking about something that doesn't make me look good, and that's my experience with limerence. But, I hear you asking, what is limerence? Limerence is an intense love and admiration for someone, even when they don't reciprocate. It could also be better described as an obsession with someone, even when they don't reciprocate. It often involves the limerent, the person experiencing limerence, living in a world of fantasy when it comes to their limerent object, the love interest. In their mind, the limerent object can do no wrong, and getting their attention becomes the priority for anyone suffering from this false love. Limerence can last for months, even years, with the infatuation never truly going away over time, but only the intensity waning. But that's just a surface level definition. Let's dive a little deeper. Let's listen to what the experts have to say. This is an article from Living with Limerence that was posted on March 29th. And here we go. Cutting through the uncertainty and debate, because what exactly limerence is a kind of a hotly debated topic, but it does fall in a certain, range. Cutting through the uncertainty and debate, I think there are 4 essential elements to limerence. It is an altered mental state, an intense drive to form a romantic pair bond, a behavioral addiction, and it's defined by a set of characteristic symptoms that all limerents share. My best summary is limerence is an altered state of mind characterized by intense romantic infatuation with another person. Being with them gives you an intoxicating natural high, but if it goes on for too long, it can become an unhealthy addiction. Why does this matter? Does any of this matter in practical terms, or is it just the usual academic quarreling over details? It is an important issue to have a clear and agreed definition of limerence. Is it an important issue to have a clear and agreed definition of limerence? I'd argue that it is important, because it helps make sense of the limerent experience, helps plan a strategy for managing the condition, and helps develop a more lasting treatment strategy for the more problematic cases. There is an important distinction between a natural trait that some people have that can lead to bad outcomes and it's mismanaged, and a medical problem arising from a disorder of the brain. You'd respond accordingly. There's a difference between introversion and agoraphobia, even though these symptoms can overlap. So, essentially, what you've got is it's just something not right with the brain that causes you to be just unhealthily obsessed with another person, being around them giving you a natural high, and not being around them giving you a low. Now, if you're still having trouble grasping the concept, here are some notable examples of limerent relationships in media. Sakura and Sasuke and Naruto, as well as Naruto and Sakura. Erwin and Mandy in The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Helga and Arnold from the show Arnold, Jim and Pam in The Office, Boa Hancock and Luffy in One Piece, Mordecai and Margaret in Regular Show. This one in particular is an extremely good example if you know Regular Show, and Steve Urkel and Laura Winslow from Family Matters. And by the way, if you don't know at least one show on this list, you're way too young to be watching my videos. I say swears. Anywho, all of these dynamics, whether they have a happy ending or not, are marked by intense infatuation, reckless fantasy, idealization of the person down to ignoring their most severe flaws, and years-long lingering feelings that seem to dominate the character's life and personality, and often make them think that they have a chance with their limerent object, even if that object doesn't want them, is married, oblivious, or otherwise unavailable. Given how common these dynamics are in the media, I venture to guess everyone has experienced limerence in one form or another. That one crush that you just can't get over, the relationship that ended that you're still stuck on years later, that person at your job that you just can't stop checking out. It's a pretty common experience. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know that living with limerence is never easy. I'm about to pull up right now a Reddit thread. I love Reddit threads because they dive into the mind of the average Joe. There's always the psychological component of the articles that we look at, but how is this affecting the common man? This is in r/limerence, posted by user emotional-mode 9648. Here to vent. Limerence has destroyed amazing friendships for me. I've gotten to the point where anytime I start falling for someone, I immediately cut them off. I hate it. I hate myself. I want to be normal and have a normal brain and not go insane every time I like someone. I'm currently trying to get over someone I cut contact with 6 months ago. I don't know what to do. I miss him every day. I don't want to deal with this forever. You guys who have struggled for decades are so strong, but unfortunately, I am not. That's the initial post, and now we're going to take a look at some comments. User greediest_coconut says, "It sucks, it's the worst, and something hit me today. That if my LO, limerent object, was actually interested in me, he would have asked me out. He would have tried to spend time with me. That I perceived as breadcrumbing was just a man being nice to a coworker, and I went and made it weird. That's a hard pill to swallow. Fuck, that sucks. That I misinterpreted everything. I took someone just being nice and friendly and made it weird. We could have been friends. We share similar humor. We could have been good friends, but man, I regret that so much. I hate having limerence. I just want normal relationships. Why is that so hard? I just started therapy and medication, so I know it'll take a while, but fuck, looking back, I just feel so embarrassed. I haven't talked to my therapist about limerence. Maybe eventually. I think I gotta work on some stuff and look at myself. It's very hard. Like just yesterday I was daydreaming about him and I literally have to stop myself. I try and rationalize everything. Anyways, it's hard and I take it one day at a time. So as you can see, you can become limerent about somebody who has had nothing but just surface level, friendly interactions with you, and you could just become obsessed with them to where they dominate your every thought, they dominate your every move, and every interaction with them becomes what's the quickest way to get this person to love me? User catshit-insane says, I feel this so hard right now in response to the post we just read. I've been there before too, and I'm sorry you've had to go through the same thing with this coworker. I'm currently falling for my first LO in 3 years, and every interaction with him is a conscious effort of reminding myself that he's probably just being friendly, and platonic friends is all we can be since he is in a happy, live-in relationship. Having a lot of fun and doing great here, but fuck, the alternative would be making things weird and ruining what could become a nice friendship as is down the line. I keep telling myself that writing this out in the least unhinged way I can is the only way, or else I've learned nothing from my past mistakes. So yeah. Here's another user. Illustrious-year-205. I'm getting better. I've been limerent for her the past 2 years almost. 2 months no contact. She's a sweet person, but I was losing my mind. Told her how I felt. She was nice and respectfully told me she didn't feel the same way. I explained to her how I felt, and sadly that I had to take my time and rudely disappear from her life. Then I texted her 2 days later to get told no again. I had to be 100% sure. It has been 2 months since then. Sometimes I go there on my own mentally because it's easy to distract myself from stressful situations using her as a safe space. Sometimes I unconsciously find myself thinking about her, and I think that's okay too. It's getting better, by the way. Non-contact wasn't as hard as orbiting around her for the last 2 years. So, yeah, you can become so attached to somebody that you end up falling for them like a lost puppy. I mean, how many guys have tried to play the long game with a girl they're interested in, only to find out that the girl that they're interested in just perceived them playing the long game as them being friendly and had no romantic interest in them? That is also limerence. So as you can see, limerence can just drive a motherfucker crazy. Being around the person is both like a hit of a drug and a dagger. Hell, I know people who would rather be hooked on drugs than experience that over a person who doesn't like them like that. It's annoying, embarrassing, scary, and wonderful all at the same time. It leads you to making one person, one flawed, imperfect person, your entire life. And as you can imagine, the lows from this mindset are extremely low, and the highs are extremely high. It can destroy you if you don't properly distract yourself. But now, where does limerence even come from? Why do human beings experience limerence? Well, we're going to go to the Cleveland Clinic to find out. Is it love or limerence? Here's how to tell the difference. August 29th, 2024. What causes limerence? Under the right circumstances, anybody can experience limerence, Duke shares, but some people are more prone to it. You may be more likely to experience limerence if you're deficient in certain neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are the chemicals in our brain that send messages to our body. If you're low in neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, the happy hormones, attention from your limerent object can cause a sudden surge that affects both your mind and body. It's the ultimate positive reinforcement. Talking to your limerent object is like how most people get when they eat candy or honey buns. It's just like a weird high. Neurotransmitters are also a primary driver of dependency. That's why limerence reflects the experiences of addiction, withdrawal, and obsessive compulsive disorder. Other factors that may make you more susceptible to limerence include insecure attachment, trauma, low self-esteem, and social media use. Social media use in particular, because you can see a person's entire history, see their pictures, and see what they're doing every day. It makes it easy to feel connected to a person that may not even want to deal with you. And again, this all ties back into just the distorted mindset that limerence creates. And the reason that I even know so much about this, the reason that I even know what sources to go to or anything like that, is because I have been a victim of this. But let's move on for right now. because we're gonna get to you're gonna be surprised at the story later. But essentially, unmet needs are at the root of limerence. If you were neglected in any type of way during your formative years, you're likely to experience it. And as the article points out, social media makes it all too easy to fall into that trap. You can craft a whole unrealistic narrative about a person based on the extensive post history that a lot of people have. Plus, with unfettered access to someone's life, obsessing becomes so much easier and pulling away from it becomes so much harder. Of course, at this point, you might be thinking, well, isn't what you're describing just the infatuation stage of love with extra steps? And I urge you not to fall into that trap. There are actually several differences between limerence and love. This is a Charlie Health article that's going to explore that for us. So, many relationships, Are You in Love or Is It Limerence? Written by the Charlie Health editorial team and clinically reviewed by Dr. Don Gasparini. And it was posted June 11th, 2025. Many kinds of relationships involve intense feelings, but not all are love. Whereas love involves a deep and reciprocal emotional connection, limerence is a kind of romantic obsession. And whereas love involves long-term mutual respect, limerence can be fleeting. Someone can have intrusive thoughts and fantasies about a person one day and lose interest the next. Keep reading to learn the differences between limerence and real love to see which state your relationship is in. The key differences between limerence and love. So, limerence and love may be used interchangeably, with people using love to describe a relationship actually defined by limerence. However, research shows that the concept of distinct emotional states. Here's a breakdown of the key differences between limerence and love. Love is a complex emotion. It is characterized by deep affection, attachment, care, and commitment toward the other person. In a healthy relationship, it involves a strong sense of intimacy, trust, and mutual understanding. And I'd also like to throw in that you can be away from your loved one for long periods of time or short periods of time or however, or you could be joined at the hip and your feelings still remain the same. You're not like, you don't go into a tailspin. You're not like beating yourself up. You're not wanting to die just because you're not talking to them, right? Like, just think about any of the healthy relationships you've been in your life and that you probably are in. And maybe your partner has to go to work. Maybe your partner has to go away for a few days. Maybe you're in a long distance relationship, but none of that matters. The intensity of those feelings still remains. So even though they're away from you, you still feel that same love. Limerence, however, is a state of infatuation or obsessive attraction towards someone. It is marked by intense longing, intrusive thoughts, and a desire for reciprocation from the other person. And again, I want to add that you cannot be without your limerent object. You'll go into a tailspin because they are like a hit of a drug to you. Their attention, good or bad, becomes like a hit of a drug to you. Love is often seen as a long-term emotion that develops and deepens over time. It can endure through various challenges and changes. Limerent feelings, on the other hand, tend to be more short-lived and intense, typically lasting from a few weeks to a few years. Now, limerence can last a long time, but the intensity, like I said before, eventually fades. Whereas love, you could love somebody for the rest of your life. And another thing, love typically involves reciprocity, typically involves mutual feelings of affection and commitment between both parties in the relationship. Limerence can be one-sided, with the person experiencing it fixating on someone who may not share the same feeling or even be aware of their existence. You can become limerent over a celebrity, or, of course, in my case, you could become weirdly limerent over someone you went to high school with who doesn't even know you exist. Now, again, love is typically reciprocal. It involves accepting a person's strengths and weaknesses. Two lovers can be apart and live their own lives without their insecure attachment styles getting in the way. But perhaps the most key difference is the fact that love deepens over time, and I want to emphasize that it deepens over time as you get to know each other and develop a bond. Limerence is short, intense, and often fades when you get to know your limerent object and see their flaws. When you see the real person behind the angelic facade that you put up for them, the limerence will often fade. So now that you have a sort of comprehensive understanding of what limerence is, it's now time to talk about my experiences with it. And these stories are not going to make me look good, but they need to be told. So, trigger warning, mentions of obsessing and borderline stalking. There are two key times in my life when I was limerent. One lasted about 10 years, and the other, more intense version, lasted about 5. And they were nearly back to back. I've spent 15 of my 24 years of life in limerence. I honestly don't remember a time before I was limerent. Regardless, the first time was long ago in ye old days of 2010. I was attending a religious school and not doing too well. Because of my neurodivergence, my temper, and my eccentric nature, I was the outcast among my peers. That being the case, I was often a loner. I ate alone, and I played alone. There were times when I was part of things my classmates were doing, and I got along well with them for a minute, but after a while, I was just never included in the outside of school fun. And when I started freaking out more and more due to that feeling of loneliness that overwhelmed me, I was completely ostracized. This was right around the time I met my first limerent object. We'll call her Jay. I don't exactly remember the circumstances of our meeting, but I do know that she paid attention to me when no one else would. She was spunky, funny, had a lot in common with me, and our parents had gotten close quite quickly, so we seemed to just gel, and we were often over each other's houses, usually at our insistence, playing pretend, competing in video games, and just genuinely enjoying each other's company. I don't remember exactly when I realized I had feelings for her, but I remember them being particularly strong after a while. She became my everything, my lifeblood. On days that I was bored or not feeling so well, I'd imagine her with me. If I succeeded at something, I'd imagine her kissing and hugging and congratulating me. When I was picked on by my peers, I'd imagine her comforting me. And in some of the most quiet, intimate moments, I would seek comfort in imagining an entire life where we're married and had kids and all this stuff. And this is little old 10-year-old me. Of course, she never really did any of those things, and even began avoiding me in front of her friends after a while. But I thought and fantasized about her day and night. A text from her lit up my day, and when she wouldn't respond, it would destroy me. And mind you, this was when smartphones were becoming a thing and flip phones were phasing out, meaning my first experience with a real phone was spent obsessing over her. And this carried on for a decade until we ended up actually trying to get into a relationship, and I broke it off, realizing that I just wasn't compatible with her. Now, this one wasn't so bad. I'm no longer friends with this person due to a different fallout we had and us just kind of growing apart, but that's just puppy love, as the old heads say. But as you can see, as soon as I got into a relationship with my limerent object, the feelings faded, showing just how unreal it actually was. But now for the one that's really bad, the juicy one. The one that was really bad came about during my junior year in high school, right around the time I got over Jay. I ended up falling in quote-unquote love, or what I described as love, with this other girl, we'll call her Kay, who was almost exactly like Jay, but nicer depending on her mood. But also depending on her mood, she ignored you like you didn't exist and looked at you like you were the shit under her feet. Apparently I found that attractive. I don't know. She was also, in my opinion, more attractive to me and had the most graceful, nature-centric personality. And also she was eccentric like me, too. Even the perfume she wore was intoxicating to me. If she did, I don't know. But not only was she not interested in me, she was the sister of my best friend at the time and a close friend to a girl I ended up dating. Oh, yeah. It gets that bad, folks. Yeah, I was fucked. But I blatantly obsessed over her all throughout my junior year, followed the poor girl around like a lost puppy, and tried to be cool for her all the time, even when I was dating her friend. And even though that relationship was confusing and often on again and off again, it was still a scummy thing to do. The relationship with her friend, not her. Eventually, during one of the off periods, I worked up the courage to ask her out to lunch. I think it was when we were doing something for theater or something. A simple no and a laugh was the response I got. Looking back, I deserved it, but still, it was the response I got. But that did not stop me from continuing to stalk her on social media for years after we graduated. Even after having a fallout with her friend group when I broke it off with the girl I was dating, I tried messaging her repeatedly only to be blocked. Repeatedly. I did this from 2020 all the way up to 2024, when her boyfriend basically said to me, hey, stop that or I'll rough you up. After that, as one does, because there's no other choice, I stopped and did some soul searching, learned what limerence was, and tried to work my way out of it, even now though, feelings still remained. And during that time I was deeply limerent over her. She was all I could think about. And every time she blocked me, I wanted to die. I lost a bunch of weight to look good for her. I was down to 180 just from starving myself. Read a bunch of books I had no interest in. I was extremely hard on myself because I didn't have her attention and I couldn't stop thinking about her if I tried. Even now I find it difficult, but it's easier now than it was before. I was addicted to her, and it made it difficult to function. It made it difficult to even find joy in anything that wasn't stalking her social media. What pulled me out of the thick of it, though, was thinking about the years I wasted crushing on this person and the amount of pain I was putting myself through trying to reclaim what I lost. I also noticed a trauma-based pattern of me falling head over heels for avoidance in people who had no interest in me due to low self-esteem and a slew of other issues. But that's my limerence testimony in a nutshell. It's very embarrassing to tell this summarized version, and I can only hope that this reaches someone with similar struggles. And if it does, just know that I came out of it, and you can too. Distract yourself, discipline yourself, and wean yourself off of the person, and you'll pull out of it just fine. Plus, you're not alone. It's just that very few people are willing to be as candid as I am about it. And also another thing, you probably also want to make sure that any person that you start developing feelings for, you ask yourself, are these the real feelings? Or is this fantasy? Is the relationship with them real? Or is it mostly in my head? Are they being friendly? Or are they being flirtatious? Because once you start asking those questions, once you start thinking critically, once you start stopping yourself from falling into old patterns, you feel yourself falling in and you're just like, nope, stop, hold on. Do you really want to embarrass yourself doing this again? Once you start doing that, you'll pull out of it just fine. And also, working on your self-esteem is a big part of this. If you are often made to feel not good enough, if you were often made to feel like you didn't matter, then falling head over heels for avoidance, falling in love with people who have no interest in you because you're afraid of what somebody who actually has interest in you would see, is pretty common. So, work on that self-esteem. Work on becoming the best version of yourself. Hit that gym. Get that therapy. Get that medication. Get that help. And become someone that you can look in the mirror and admire. And I'm telling you, once that happens, once you're able to look and say, hey, I'm great, you won't be worried about somebody who's not interested in you. You won't even be worried about the people who are. You'll just be worried about you. And it is on that path that you will find the one that's meant for you. But, anywho, that is all for today's show. If you like this episode, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. This is one of the most difficult episodes I've ever written, even despite how short it was. So I hope you enjoyed. Although, if I'm being honest, the length of the episode doesn't really bother me. I've wanted to try experimenting with shorter episodes anyways. But that's neither here nor there. The articles referenced will be linked in the description, as well as all my socials. Follow me everywhere so you don't miss a beat. And be sure to come right back here next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. for an all-new What's Going On with Dapper Don. You don't want to miss what I have in store. Peace out.